Hey everyone, how's it going? Delrith here, bringing you another rapid fire style review, this time for A Plague Tale: Innocence. This game was developed by Asobo Studio, I think that's how you pronounce it, and published by Focus Home Interactive. So what is A Plague Tale: Innocence? A quick summary of the game would be that it's a heavily story-driven action-adventure stealth game taking place in France during the 1300s. It puts the player in the role of a young girl named Amicia de Rune and following her path during the events of a massive, widespread catastrophe known as the Blight. As the story starts off, you are introduced to the entire de Rune family, Amicia, of course, her father Robert, her mother Beatrice, and her brother Hugo, with Amicia and her father exploring through the woods on a hunt. Very soon, however, this story takes a dark twist when tragedy strikes and something sinister is discovered in the forest, causing a massive chain of events to unfold which will force Amicia and her sibling out on a quest, with the focus being able just to survive. Very soon, however, this story takes a dark twist when a tragedy strikes and something sinister is discovered in the forest, causing a massive chain of events to unfold which will, of course, force Amicia and her sibling out on a quest with the focus on just trying to survive. Without going into spoilers and ruining any of the plot to any serious degree, you'll quickly find out that throughout all this plague, the Inquisition is involved, and that the plague itself is actually swarms of ravenous and incredibly hungry rats, numbering in the literal millions.
Hurry! Come on, faster!
That was easy.
Come, I'll get you up.
Yes.
It's the prequel to Ratatouille, I knew it. You'll see the impact of this blight of rats on the Inquisition, the town people, and the countryside, nigh constantly seeing the path of destruction that's wrought wherever it goes. Your only defense against the rats, as you'll find out early on, is light, and it plays a critical role throughout. It's actually really freaking badass. Graphically, to support this plot, I don't think that the developers could have done any better than they have. A Plague Tale's visual experience is absolutely incredible, with all of the art style and lighting being extremely effective in providing an ambience that fits perfectly with the dread of Amicia's situation. Everything about the way the game looks is just so damn good, from the characters themselves with their emotions and expressions, all the way up to the entire world with all of its environments and details, lending very heavy support to the story as it unfolds. The lighting, especially, was fantastic given the immense focus on it in the game, and I could tell that a lot of effort was put into really making it stand out. It reflected off of everything, sun shafts and light beams effectively highlighting dust in the air, and the light was such a stark contrast to the darkness it somehow just made it feel more sinister, something I haven't felt in a horror situation in a very, very long time. Couple this with how fantastic and terrifying visually the rat swarms themselves are, especially when they emerge from the ground, and you've got something truly terrifying, even more so as they're visually stripping the flesh from bones and dragging people down into undulating masses of rats, sometimes leaving skeletons and piles of blood in their wake. I feel like I should just keep this card.
Why did they kill?
Oh my god, look at all these pigs! Jesus
We had
Christ!
to contain the rats here.
At one point, you'll stumble across a battlefield with literally hundreds of corpses and decaying bodies littered everywhere, and it's extremely gruesome. It's just one of those things that I've actually never seen another game pull off, and the entire rat swarm experience was incredibly unique, and one of the primary reasons I was glued to my computer and played this out in 2 settings.
I understand.
He's coming.
What's that? Huh?
Oh Lord, it's horrible.
But it worked.
I just wanted to keep seeing more and experiencing all the horror firsthand, and the visuals never disappointed. Actually, come to think of it, there's really nothing that struck me the wrong way, at least in the visual aspect. Even the weather effects and the snow, something which a lot of games struggle on, were perfect to me, and I really have to give credit to Asobo for designing something so damn good looking. The voice acting as well was good. I've never really liked Americanized French voice actors, but they did a fairly decent job throughout the entire game. Each actor for every character added an extra layer of solid personality to them, and none of them really felt out of place. In fact, I'd say the reason I hated Hugo, Amicia's little brother, so much was because of how annoyingly perfect his voice was. I may or may not have accidentally pushed him into the rats a few times because of it. The main antagonist of the game had superb voice acting and just nailed the whole evil thing really well, just sounding like total assholes every time they talked, and I totally appreciated that.
Ever since the Great Break, the process has quickened. You must protect him, Amicia. Continue your mother's work.
So, with such a stunning visual experience, what's the bulk of the gameplay actually like by comparison? Well, as I stated previously, this is an action stealth game. In fact, I'd say it's more of an escort stealth game than an action one, as for vast periods of your playthrough, you're going to be running and escorting your brother Hugo while dealing with his stupidity through cleverness rather than actually fighting enemies. In fact, you'll never get to physically swing at or punch an enemy, and this is something that's entirely alright, as you have multiple other ways of dealing with them, mostly your sling, at later points in the game. I have to say, normally I hate Extreme Stealth and hate escort missions even more, but the way they do it in Plague Tale, given the threat of the rats, is entirely tolerable and even extremely good at times. There are solid mechanics involving hiding behind cover, dodging, distracting guards, breaking lanterns to get people devoured in the most horrible ways imaginable so you can progress, lighting fires to scare away rats, etc., etc. Nothing in the game really feels forced or tedious, and from what I saw, there were, for the most part, always multiple ways to deal with a situation, allowing you to really play how you want in a lot of cases other than being forced on a linear path. Your character will get stronger and unlock more ways to approach enemies through the constant searching of materials to construct upgrades at workbenches for Amicia's equipment. Stuff like rope, leather, cloth, etc. will turn into things like larger ammo pouches and alchemical solutions, really encouraging you to approach situations with even more flexibility. There are some really neat upgrades you could get later on, but I don't want to spoil anything, but I can definitely assure you that they're really cool and I can't see anyone not liking them. Oh yeah, and there's also a lot of random collectibles, each that trigger a sort of mini cutscene with dialogue and everything. While normally I hate these things, they're done perfectly well in the Plague Tale, and I found myself actively searching for them. They definitely encourage more exploration in levels, and I appreciated how they introduced me to the various side paths, making the game feel less linear even though there was a specific path that you always had to follow. All in all, the story is incredibly satisfying. The entire way through, I loved every minute of it, and it's an entirely charming game, albeit horrifying at times, that earned every bit of my respect, and I'm entirely glad that I had it suggested to me by viewers during my streams. It's one of the best linear story games I've played in a very long time, and it's the first game since Doom 2016 that I felt inclined and motivated to sit down and finish in 1 or 2 sittings. It'll end up running about 10 hours in total based on how much you choose to explore and how you handle certain situations, which is a little short, but it doesn't feel too short in the slightest, and honestly, if they do a sequel, I'm incredibly excited to pick it up and play. The title of the game suggests that they will, and the ending definitely gives them room to grow the story. So, is A Plague Tale: Innocence worth picking up? Absolutely. At the price of $50, I entirely can recommend this to anyone who likes games with a deep story, or even games with an unnerving horror element. It's just great all in all. I could say personally that even if these games aren't your preferred style, you will most likely still end up enjoying it, and this is me speaking from experience. I dislike most horror games. It'll be a dang shame to miss out on this one. All in all, Plague Tale is getting an incredibly solid 9 out of 10, and I'm going to take the liberty to give it my first badass seal of approval, which I'm confiscating from Joe for the moment, so check it out when you get the chance. That's going to be it for this rapid fire review. If you liked it, do me a solid and hit that like button, and if you're already subscribed, ring the bell to get notifications on new videos like this in the future. Oh yeah, and if you like the rapid fire reviews or would like to see when I'm doing them live on Twitch, you can head over to my Twitter at AJSADelrith, all one word, and give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. Until the next video, this is Del, and I'll be seeing ya.